and now I work as a business consultant. It's quite well paid, so I have the opportunity to donate a large amount of money to animal charities.
A kind of gifted mathematician, would you say that's fair to say?
I like mathematics. It's relatively easy
Very
for
modestly
me.
put.
And it's not about saying, okay, I'm so cool. It's about amplifying the impact by inspiring others.
Out to your friends and family and colleagues, I bet some of them think you're crazy for giving away so much money. Okay, well, we've got Felix Werdermann. Thank you for coming to talk to me, Felix. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks for inviting me.
I was really keen to talk to you because you do something quite special, which is giving a large chunk of your income to effective animal charities. Perhaps you can say more about that and yourself in general, your background, your profession, and so on.
Yeah, so I live in Berlin, Germany, and I worked as a journalist before, and then I decided to study mathematics. And now I work as a business consultant, and it's quite well paid. So I have the opportunity to donate a large amount of money to animal charities. And this was also one reason why I decided for this career path, that I have this opportunity. And so I also signed the 10% pledge. So I pledge to give at least 10% of my income. In reality, it's more than 10%. And with my job, I'm in the privileged position to do a lot of good with my salary.
Yeah, I love your perspective on that. And we've spoken once about this before. My audience won't know this, but I actually interviewed Felix maybe 5 years ago for a book that I never quite finished writing. So this is a rerun of a conversation which we have already had some years ago. But it's so cool to see that actually in that time you've stuck with it and you've probably donated 6 figures since I last spoke to you, I guess, right? Or something like that. I mean, you're giving more than 10%, and you mentioned you study mathematics, you're some sort of consultant. I mean, you know, no need to make public your income, but you have a good income, right?
Yeah, that's true. I have to look it up. I'm not quite sure. But I think I have donated more than 100,000 euros in the meantime.
Wow.
I'm not 100% sure about that.
It's there or thereabouts, though, right? It's in the ballpark.
Sorry?
It's in the right ballpark. It's like approximately.
Yeah. And so I will look it up later. And
yeah, nice. Do you have any sense of your overall sort of running total that you've donated?
Yeah, I think it's. I don't know exactly the exact numbers, but it should be more than 100,000 euros. And it's now 8 years that I signed the 10% pledge. And so with that amount of money, I can really do a lot of good. It's because there are so many cool animal charities who focus on farmed animal welfare, for example, where many animals live in horrific conditions, and we can do so much good with a small amount of money.
Yeah, that's such a cool perspective. And that we hear sometimes about this. By the way, 100,000 euros is crazy. That's so cool that you've donated that much money. I'd made a video adding up my donations, and I think it was in the 20,000s of pounds. And I've gone a more kind of modest earning route than Felix has. But it's very cool that part of your story of why you do this is kind of recognizing that you know, it's kind of different types of privilege, as you say, and strokes of luck, where being born in a developed country, right, and being a kind of gifted mathematician, would you say that's fair to say?
Yeah, I think there are these two privileges. One is clearly that I live in an industrialized country, so it's crazy about the difference in salaries. So my career path is probably not possible for the majority of people in the world, but for people who live in industrialized countries, it's often possible to donate at least 10%. And the other factor is that I like mathematics. It's relatively easy
Very
for
modestly
me.
put.
And then I decided, okay, what can I do with mathematics? At first, I thought, okay, it's not necessarily for animal charities. So most of the animal charities don't need specifically mathematicians. But then I realized that with this skill set, I can do a lot of good. However, by doing another job and earning to give. So these skills are highly looked for in the industry. So it's possible to have a high income and donate the money which I don't need for myself to animal charities. And I think it's quite neglected career path, or many people perhaps even don't know about it. So most people think, okay, if I want to do good, I will work for a charity. But only few people think, okay, I could also work in a for-profit and donate a big amount of money to charities. And so I have the impression that many people want to work for charities. And but many charities, on the other hand, lack funding. And so it's perhaps a better option if you have certain skills which are sought in the industry to work there and donate a part of your income.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. And it does seem to be the case from a couple of anecdotes that I've heard recently about hiring in animal charities that they'll have, 500 or 1,000 applicants for roles in these charities. Sometimes there's a lot of people, see that as the career path for helping to contribute to making a difference to animals. And it is, one way of doing that. But there's this counterfactual point as well about, if you're in a paid position working in a charity, the sort of amount of good that you are doing is how much better you're doing that job than the next person would have done it, right? Whereas if you're earning to give, right, as you are, it's likely that if somebody else was doing your management consulting job, they probably wouldn't be giving lots of money to animal charities. And so you are kind of counterfactually adding to the total amount of resources in the movement, I guess, is how to think of it.
Yeah, sure.
And I imagine that one reason that people might not be inclined to take that route is just a little bit of feeling a little bit more separate from the cause. I imagine that if you worked in a charity and your colleagues are people who work in the charity and your kind of day-to-day thinking is about this charity's projects and so on, it's a different, life experience basically day-to-day than if you are earning to give and funding the charities, even if that might be kind of more important for more people to do. For a lot of people, a lot of the desire to work in a charity, or perhaps like the benefits of working in a charity in a way, is like the social experience of that almost. Is that something that you had to contend with? I mean, what do the other management consultants think of your project, right? I imagine some of them are sympathetic.
Yeah, of course, you don't have this feeling of I would say my day-to-day job is not very positive. So the impact is not very positive or very, very negative. So there's not the sense of doing good in a direct way. So I would imagine that it's different if I work in a charity, for example. So I would work together with all the other people who have the same goals to improve the lives of animals, for example. However, I try to stay in contact with other animal advocates through volunteering. So that's, at least for me, that's very important, because otherwise I would have the impression that perhaps I lose motivation over time. I don't know exactly, but however, it could be hard to stay motivated and So that's the way for me, which I found how I can stay connected to others who have the same values, and on the other hand, do this job where I can donate as much as I can.
Yeah, that's awesome. That makes a lot of sense. So doing volunteering is a way to get that social element that some people want from working at charities, and nevertheless you can do the sort of utility maximizing thing of earning to give and adding to the resources, and you can still do volunteering to get that social side as well. That makes a lot of sense. So I'm interested in how other people react to your situation when you tell them about it. Your friends and family and colleagues, I bet some of them think you're crazy for giving away so much money.
Perhaps. I don't know exactly. No one told me that I'm crazy for that, but
well, that's
however,
good.
I don't know. So, but by now I only got positive reactions. So
fantastic.
I regularly write about my donations on LinkedIn, for example, and so my colleagues read it, and other friends read it, and so the reactions were positive. I think the main point what people think about is, okay, he donates a lot of money. It's not so much about, for example, my thinking behind it, about how to do the most good with the money. So I would say that there are quite big differences in impact between different charities and so on. And I have the impression that probably some people who read my LinkedIn articles, they only read the title and perhaps the first sentences, and then they know, okay, that's the guy who donates so much money, but not that's the guy who really thinks about where he can do the most good with his money. But I don't think that people in general think that I'm crazy. At least people who know me, probably who know me personally, they also have they have the impression that I've carefully thought about it and my career path. Otherwise, I could imagine that there are also some people who think, okay, it might be a bit suspicious to work in a consultancy, perhaps, and is he really doing good with his job, or is it perhaps kind of offsetting or
right, like some sort of moral licensing if you were consulting for the tobacco industry or something, which presumably you said the consulting itself is pretty neutral. It's not any kind of like evil industry consulting.
Yeah, exactly. But there are some people who are perhaps a bit suspicious. But I would say if they know me, they know that I have carefully thought about it, and so basically I would assume that they trust me that in the end it's a positive thing to do.
Yeah, that's cool. That's nice that people have largely reacted positively, and an interesting observation that, the headline figure of giving away lots of money, which I also think is really cool that you make it public and share that, which a lot of people have the inclination that you shouldn't really do that if you're giving to charity. It's bad to sort of show it off or whatever. I firmly think that the benefits of inspiring others is going to far outweigh. I mean, there's really no cost if I also have an ego boost from this, right? It's pretty harmless if that happens. But if you inspire others to also give to those charities, there's clearly a massive benefit. So, that's really that's cool that people have reacted largely positively and so. Do you want to say more about the effective part as well then? Because it's really an important part of this is you're not just giving to money to sort of whatever charities are popular or charities at random, but it's based on an evaluation of where's going to use that money to do the most good.
Yeah, perhaps one thing to add to the point that I don't write about it because I want to say, okay, I'm so cool. So in the beginning, I also for years I donated without saying anything, And then I read an article on the page in the blog of Giving What We Can about the social effects of telling others about donating, and that was also the reason why I signed the 10% pledge, and I made it public that I donate at least 10%. And it's not about saying, okay, I'm so cool. It's about amplifying the impact by inspiring others. So that's the reason. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And regarding the effectiveness of charities, so I think, I've donated for as long as I can think, perhaps. So even as when I was in school, I donated already to some charities, and for a long time it was nothing special for me. So I didn't think too hard about it where I donate, but I also donate to very different charities, all kind of charities. And then I heard of effective altruism, and I read some books, and I thought about it, and I decided, okay, perhaps I should focus on certain charities or on certain cause areas. And it's not, the impression which many people have, and I also had perhaps implicitly, is that it doesn't matter so much to which charity you donate. It's more or less the same effect. And I think, for me at least, it was that I didn't think so hard about it, and I had the impression all the other people don't think about it either. So probably there's no real difference. But then when I heard about effective altruism, I was questioning that assumption, and and I think that, for example, farmed animal advocacy is really neglected, and you can really do a lot of good with your money, because if you compare it, for example, to animal shelters or to how much donations go to pets and so on, it's very clear for me that you can do much more good if you donate it to farmed animals, because it's so neglected, so few donations, and so many animals which are affected.
Yeah, that's what I always think of as just fantastic value for money, really, isn't it? I can't think of any dollar that I spend that wouldn't really have been better spent on getting, sparing 4 animals from a life on a factory farm. It's just such good value for money, right? It's crazy.
Yeah.
I guess that's partly because it is neglected. Anybody who, doesn't put themselves in the category of vegetarian or vegan thinks that's, not going to be for me. That won't be the area that I give to. So as a result of that, it's like an undervalued stock, basically, right?
Yeah. And for me, it's also, I don't see a difference between, let's say, a dog and a pig. So basically, many people care so much about their dogs, and they pay for the doctor and whatever. And for me, it's, I don't know why we should react in another way when it comes to pigs, for example. So I have the impression that it's really just logical to help other animals as well, if they can suffer as well as dogs can, for example.
Totally, yeah. Do you have a moment that you remember making this decision, or thinking, oh, I'm going to make this big kind of lifestyle commitment to giving away a lot of income? Was there a particular moment that you trace that back to?
I don't know if there was a particular moment. So, of course, there was a moment when I decided, okay, I signed the 10% pledge. So at that point, I was sure that I will be able to donate 10% for the rest of my life, which is, in my opinion, possible for most people in industrialized countries. So it was not such a big deal for me. And then I know that I waited for one day before my birthday, because I posted it on Facebook, and I thought, okay, on my birthday, many people will have a look on my Facebook page, and then they will see that I signed the pledge.
Very strategic.
That's the reason, yeah. And and the other decision that I decided for earning to give, it's a bit different still, because you can also donate 10% when you work for a charity, for example. But this career path, earning to give, was in a situation where I was already wondering if I should change my job as a journalist. So I worked as a journalist, and in general, I was also, I would say, more or less successful, and I had a job which I like doing. But however, I was in a certain way unsatisfied. I don't know what exactly was it, and I tried to figure it out. And then I heard about effective altruism, and I was thinking, okay, perhaps I can use my mathematical skills, which I didn't use so much in journalism. But I like doing mathematics for my life. So I was thinking about it, and then there was a long decision process. And in the end, when I decided that I study mathematics, I had some idea that I could perhaps doing earning to give afterwards, but I wasn't sure that I will do it. But I thought, okay, I will try it, and if I like it, I can continue with it, and if I don't like it, I can do anything else with mathematics or go back to journalism or whatever I want. So it was not the decision, okay, at that point I will do earning to give, but I decided, okay, I will start with it and I will have a look if I like it. And up to now, I'm pretty happy with it.
Here's a good question that I asked you last time I spoke to you, and I remember you being, this was the only question that stumped you. What would you do if you had back all of the money that you've given away to charities?
If I had what?
If you had back all of the money that you've given to charities, if you had it back in your bank account tomorrow.
I would donate it once again.
Good answer. So you don't regret it at all? Like, there's no sense of, I mean, there's some crazy things that you could have bought for 100,000 euros.
Yeah, of course I could also buy something. I think in general I'm not a very materialistic person, so for me it is quite easy, I would say, to live with a modest income. And so perhaps there are other people for whom it's not so easy as for me. But however, I think for most people at least 10% would be possible. And for me, I don't know what. Of course, if I'm obliged to use the money for myself and not donate it, I would probably find some ways to spend the money. But I really don't need it. So I would say that all the things I need and all the activities I want to do, I can afford with my money, and I have still enough to give away.
Yeah, you wouldn't. You don't regret not buying a Ferrari or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm. Yeah, probably it's also the kind of socialization and education and so on that I don't think I need a luxury car or whatever.
That's cool. That's really cool. And last question. Well, I guess I'll ask you if there's anything else that you wanted to add on, but last specific kind of question I have. Do you have a message to other people who are maybe thinking about doing a donation pledge or thinking about getting into giving away a part of their income to animal charities? Maybe they're on the fence, they haven't decided. Do you have any kind of advice or message for people like that?
Yeah, you should try and start with it and have a look how it feels. So, for example, the 10% pledge of Giving What We Can is not the only pledge you can take with Giving What We Can. There's also the trial pledge. So you can decide the percentage between 1% and 10% and decide for a certain duration in which you want to try it. So I would advise to try it and have a look how it feels, and even start as soon as you can, because even if you are still a student, for example, you can sign the pledge, and then you should donate 1% as a student, and it's easier if you have already signed the pledge and then you start with your job and you have more money, and then you can say, okay, no problem, I have more money, and even if I donate 10%, I still have more money than I have as a student. So it's I would say it's easier to start with the pledge as soon as possible, and then each increase in salary you can use it to donate, and you still have more money than before. And it's perhaps easier than you sign the pledge when you are already have a high income and you have spend it for your own purposes already before, so that you have to look where can I cut my expenses or something like that. So it's easier to start with it as soon as possible and then already donating it, and you don't you are not, how can I say it,
I know the kind of thing you mean. Golden handcuffs is a phrase that we have, right? Where you get a high salary, but then you basically, it's like lifestyle creep, right? You kind of adjust to that level of income, and then you feel, I couldn't possibly live on less than this amount, and I have a very elaborate lifestyle that I've become used to and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's easier to start with donating already before, and then you are not so familiar with spending thousands of euros for yourself.
Yes,
because
you never actually have to take a cut in lifestyle if you start doing it. Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
Nice. Well, that's actually very pragmatic advice on both accounts. The trying giving for a certain amount of time, and then also starting early, because I often think that when I look back, I've been giving for about 10 years, 10% for about 10 years, and I mean, if I hadn't been doing that and I started now, it would take me a while to catch up with that money that I have now given. And when I think about what I would have done instead, I would have just sort of wasted more money on crap from Amazon that I didn't really need, and just, like, it wouldn't have been well spent. I can promise you that now. So yeah, I totally agree.
And there's also some research which shows that you are getting happier by donating and not necessarily by buying stuff which you don't need. So at least a certain threshold, the best way you can use the money for yourself, it's donating, because you feel better with it. And so it's also kind of egoistic, if you want.
Yeah, well, you look pretty happy, Felix. That's very suspicious. Good stuff. Okay, nice. Well, Felix, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with me, and I'm really pleased to be able to share your story and hopefully to inspire others to also start giving significant amounts to effective animal charity. So thank you so much for what you do, and thank you so much for sharing your story. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me, and thanks for talking about this career path and these opportunities. And thank you, and have a nice day.
Yeah, cheers, you too. Thanks, man.
Yeah, bye.